Hi, and welcome to my first video. Before touching the real page, I did a few thumbnails to figure out the composition. So I'm not an expert in composition, so it's always good, to sketch a few thumbnails before doing the actual piece. So the last one kind of won. I think that's the best layout so far. Okay, so starting with the light pencil sketch. So I don't draw all of the details, but I need something, as a starting point before doing the outline with a fine liner. And I will be using my Copic multi-liners because I do know they do not smudge. Confession time. I don't particularly like drawing cups or other perfect round shapes, the ones that don't occur in nature. If I need to draw a circle, that has to be a circly circle. My hands will be like, nope, I am not doing that. Instead, let's draw an apple or a donut, because nature loves imperfect shapes. And a squishy apple still reads as an apple, even if it doesn't have perfect shapes and perfect lines. Now I can see that the handle of the cup is way too small compared to the cup itself, but also the coffee beans. Well, we cannot fix it anymore. Now let's get rid of the pencil lines and start adding color. That's the best part, right? And that's why you're here, I guess. I'm starting with the foam and first taking my lightest marker to map the cappuccino art. It's not really art in this case, guys, but yeah, that's okay. I tried. It's the effort that counts, right? This is what they say. Now I am layering warm orange browns for that milk to coffee transition. And after applying a darker color, folks, I always go back to the previous lighter color that I used so that I could blend them together. Okay, now let's add a darker color. And every time I will be doing that, I will be going back to a previous lighter shade to make sure we have a really nice smooth transition between the colors. Oops, I think I colored milk too much, so now I need to fix it with a blender. Quick tip here, I will be using a small scrap sheet under my hand because markers can transfer to your hand and then back onto the page and your artwork. And while we color, I want to do a quick little intro about myself. So I'm learning how to draw right now. So I'm definitely not a pro. So if you come here for some, really nice professional pictures, I'm afraid I'm not that person. And to be honest, I wasn't that kid, who doodled like nonstop or like, did some drawings. I didn't even have art supplies growing up. Like really, I actually don't remember owning like any art supplies when I was a kid. And I actually started as an adult, about 2 or 3 years ago, like from absolute zero, like literally null. I don't even know, like, honestly, how the sketch will turn out, but I promise I will not redraw it just, for the sake of this video. Okay, we're getting somewhere with this coffee foam. I think it doesn't look that bad. Now, before applying even darker colors, the darkest colors, we need to talk about the light source, right? So the light source here will be top left, okay? So that's my executive decision for today. That means that the deepest shadows will be on the left side of this foam. As you know, this is my first video, so I already actually see what I can improve, the camera angle, the audio, and the editing of the video too. So I promise I will keep that in mind for future videos, so please stay tuned. Now I need to rotate the page because I really don't want to mess up the outline. Sorry for that. Okay, and now let's add some dots to show tiny bubbles. I use different colors for the dots, so don't be scared to go over the lighter parts too. But also be careful with dark dots and don't add too many. Okay, so I think I'm done with this cappuccino foam, and I mean, this is not exactly, coffee shop level, but similar to what I do at home. My barista skills are not particularly good. Okay, so now it's beans time. It's tempting to color them with the same brown colors, but I've decided to pick slightly different browns. Okay, and remember to leave some space for the highlights. Coffee beans are like, smooth and a bit oily, so they do reflect some light. Add in some darker, deeper colors. And as always, don't forget to blend. For the cup, I'm going blue. You know, when I was searching for reference pictures, like there were tons of blue and red cups for whatever reason. I do not know, maybe they like look the best on different pictures. So, and I'm kind of like, okay, blue it is. It looks good. And fingers crossed that my blue, light blue, isn't running dry because I'm not sure I have a refill for this color. And I just love this B12 marker, and that's why I know that it's not full, so fingers crossed. But anyway, I always try to color following kind of, the form of the thing that I color. It's just, it just looks better and less patchy, you know what I mean? And yeah, the marker is definitely not super juicy. You probably don't see it, but I definitely feel it now that I'm coloring with it. Okay, that's a nice, really beautiful color. So now add in some shadows, and again, remember the light is coming from the top left corner. And don't forget the shadow for the beans. Nice. So with shadows, I like to use two colors actually. So of course, one base color, but then medium and dark color. I think it gives like a really softer, transition between the colors. So, and this is what I'm doing right now. So add in some, like medium tone and then like a darker color. Okay, and let's not forget about the cup itself. So now I'm adding a soft gray shadow to the edge of the cup itself and the plate. And by the way, as you see, the cup isn't really symmetrical or like perfect shape. And I mean, it still looks good, at least to me. Okay, and now it's bread time. First, let's color with the base light color. I picked this kind of yellowish color. We'll see. We'll see if it works. We can always cover it with something else. Okay, so far I think this yellow color looks good, and let's add darker browns where the bread, is like a toasty, toasty at the edges and at the top. Okay, so far I'm not particularly liking what I'm seeing, but textured surfaces are not my superpower. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, with the bread. Worst case, even if it doesn't look like actual bread. I'm the artist, so that's how I see it. Also, as you can obviously see, I've hit the classic ugly stage, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing at the moment with Brad, but I just need to push through. Now the second bread, this cut baguette, it is more porous, but we will start with the same light yellow color with my Ohuhu marker, and then I will be adding darker colors, to draw dots and these pores. Don't forget to keep the spacing random so that it feels natural, right? So if you do the same pattern, like our brains will just spot like, hey, this is unnatural, right? It doesn't work like that. And if the edges like get too harsh, of this pores, of like darker areas, don't forget to cover it with a lighter shade, so, to blend. Also, a small tip, don't try to add perfect edges, like it will never look good nor realistic. So try varying your line weight and like thick there, thin here. Don't keep them like the same all the time. I want to use the same dark brown color here for the second bread. And now I'm feeling adventurous and I want to add gray color to the pores, and that's a risky move, folks. So, because we need to be careful with grays in food sketching. Sometimes grays can give, this impression of like stale food, you know, like not fresh, and like it's kind of difficult to explain, but maybe you know like what I'm talking about. Maybe you've had this experience too and noticed. This bread now looks a bit too yellow, and I want to soften the color by adding a warmer light yellow red. Let's see how it will turn out. Now I decided just to go back to the first bread, just to add some darker tones, because I think it looks a bit flat. I know that some people are kind of hesitant to add darker colors and shadows. Well, that's not me, definitely. I'm the opposite, and I need to intentionally stop myself, otherwise I will just color everything with darker colors. And let's add some shadows so that, you know, the cup and the bread and the beans, so they do not float in the air. And watch that light direction, so from top left. This is me from the future. I'm editing the video and I see that it's yellow. This is my camera freaking out. I was sitting by the window and the sun just ducked behind the clouds, so the camera was constantly hunting for the right exposure. I think it's a good time to stop coloring. I don't want to overdo it. But this first bread still deserves some TLC. So the top is kind of weird. Right now, I have no idea what I'm doing, and pretty sure this is pure panic. And now let's add some white pencil. I will be adding baking flour on top of the bread. As you can see, it's not really working the way I would like it, but we will get there. What's great about pencils, obviously, is that if it doesn't work out, then you can erase it. Not all of it, sometimes, but still better than with markers. Now adding some highlights to the coffee beans. I also want to add a bit of white to the foam itself so that the milk is a bit more defined. I believe it's fair to say that I need to practice a bit on how to color bread and pastry, and baguettes specifically. And finally, the time for lettering. I have erased any leftover pencil lines and I want to write coffee time here. I cannot do fancy calligraphy, so I will be using stamps. And honestly, stamps are a real lifesaver for people like me. Okay, adding coffee time and we're done. If you enjoyed this video, folks, hit like and subscribe. Thank you so much and see you next time.